up and your internet fucked up at the same time, and it was not. I could hear it through my microphone on both of our ends, just making noise, and I was like, "Oh God, this is."
Oh well, shit. Yeah, a lot about like what kind of audience we want to have and how to expand the audience. What is it? 3 people still watching?
People are back. Yeah.
Was it 3? I can't.
Yeah, we're back up. Do you want to see the super terrible trailer I made? Hayes makes these really cool trailers, and I'm always
Yeah,
pissed
yeah.
because
I just wanted
feel
to.
like.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And I guess I guess I just wanted to find a way to kind of like, since we have, because I tuned in the streams that came all but tried and true audience. So I don't know, we should try to find ways like bring them on board to figure out this brilliant content we're creating here. By the way, I don't know. So how do subscription? I mean, how do it's $6 a month, right?
I don't know. I've never subscribed to anything on Twitch. I've never used Twitch before I started streaming for the culture.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I clicked on the subscribe now button. You could get a ad-free viewing, which is good, and other stuff. I would just say if you so okay. So what is the number watching now?
2. We are back up 2. Which, like, considering
Okay,
it's a
the 2
daytime stream, doesn't seem bad.
Yeah, so the 2 of you, we appreciate you being here. If you could bring, I don't know, 2 would be great. I mean, if you think this is worth listening to, I might as well more people involved. If you're not already subscribed, do that. By the way, I don't know. I saw that you put out 2 articles. And we should, at some point, we are going to try to do a Substack. I think.
Yep. Once Q gives me the login for it.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe okay. Well, we've got a lot of brilliant stuff. Like if you saw the Petrocelli article, he's a writer. Sure, he's great. Petrocelli's got like 10 million tons of back catalog to come out. Turn your world upside down, tear us under your illusions, and send the sanctuary of your own ignorance crashing down around. I've got some back catalog stuff and some stuff I'm working on myself. So yeah, and then Substack. And oh yeah. By the way, on behalf of if you haven't already, check out the Negro Subversive podcast found. Take a listen. The 2 of you that are around as well. So yeah, I'm just trying to find ways to like. I mean, again, I feel like use that. I feel like if you're here and you care about this, and you think it's useful and good information. Again, help grow a media landscape and become the new hegemon on behalf of the people. So yeah.
When you were describing the nature of our writings,
So you breaking up when I was describing the nature of who now?
The nature of our writings. All I could think of was this dude who used to post like left-wing Facebook named Laird Allen, because he used to say shit like this. Reading this made me die completely, root and fucking branch. I have bleached to driftwood in mere seconds, and even now my eyes are searing agates of loathing set deep in the naked bone of my exposed skull.
See, these are the kind of reviews I want. Like I don't care if you like it or hate it. Just let the reviews be.
Oh, I shared my Afghanistan podcast on r/neocons.
And do you have hate listens?
I assume so. Like, we have to, because they have to hate me, which is actually what I want. Also, doesn't this look like communists made it as a joke?
Yeah, like communist Illuminati.
So this is from an Italian newspaper's article on Propaganda Due, which was like their secret Masonic organization that was secretly running the country. We have some fun overlay pictures on here. Timber Sycamore, a podcast for alcoholics. Hunter Biden.
See, if I'd known that, I would have been listening.
Other Hunter Biden.
Drug addicts and alcoholics.
What other live stream gives you pictures of Hunter Biden smoking crack?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hole that needs to be filled. So ultraviolet iris, shit saying stuff. What do you want to see? What would you like to see on the? Yeah.
Ultraviolet iris told me the other day that Hunter Biden is hot, so I'm not sure that I trust his opinions anymore.
Okay. Yeah. So we can give you the more Hunter Biden. That's for damn sure. That's a very good question.
Silky Johnson, player hater of the year.
I suppose a bass show used to be funny.
And Antonio Gramsci in an AI. Antonio Gramsci's head on AI's body.
Are you not entertained? So they kind of, I mean, surrealism. So somebody made a comment about how humor and pop and and probably for the same reasons. Yeah, lean into it.
Yeah, it's why we have pictures of me and Hayes smoking cigarettes. It happens a lot on stream. Clearly, that is what the people are here for.
Well, no, I tuned in briefly the other day, not the day that I was commenting, but another day, and it was quite hilarious. So yeah, I don't know if y'all could bring that energy, natural analysis. I think that'd be a match made in heaven. But yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. The revolution is supposed to be an act of enthusiasm. I want to talk about being, humorous because my whole shtick is never laughed in his entire life, but still.
We do not have a video I do have videos of us recording Timber Sycamore. They are uncut raw footage. Part of which you can see us just making fun of Suda for. Hayes likes to play this video while we're recording of this character Lorenz from a video game, where he is always like very posh and very upset about people, and his thing that he yells when he attacks is, "Don't you know who I am?" in a British accent. So obviously we use this relentlessly on the only person we speak to with a British accent.
And it was raw.
Yeah, the raw footage is generally like sentencing is complete. Hello, Hayes. Speaking of.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We just got finished with the sentencing. It was about 2 hours. A set of notes. I'm going to do a write-up later. The maximum sentence for this was stated to be 96 months, which was the official recommendation of the United States government, who I only got named as Mr. Noble. I'm going to try and look that up later. The judge has sentenced Marland to 48 months. Marland has earned credits for all previous time served, with March of 2021 to April 2021, and then of March 2022 to present. Served concurrently with all other sentences that are currently Sorry, just got out.
Wow, guys. 4 fucking hosts on all at once. This is truly a privileged day.
Okay.
Who the other two?
Hayes is here and Suda is here, as well as Victor.
Am I talking to Victor right now?
Yeah, this is major.
I can't hear
I was
a word you're saying, I'll be honest.
how many months?
48 months with March till
48
now being
40
time served and March to April being time served. Correct?
There are time served credits. Yeah. It's March 22 to today.
So, yes. How many serve credits did he get?
Victor, I can't hear you.
Victor's line is not very
Hear me?
good.
Okay, so wait, so no.
Victor, you sound
Victor,
like
maybe
Max Headroom.
maybe try
right now.
reconnect. Leave and then
You
reconnect.
do that.
That's what I did, and it was-
I was not told. We were not told explicitly that would be served because it's not actually. Again, it is the judgment of the court that will be happens goes to the Bureau of Prisons. It's not from the court. So the Bureau of Prisons from the
okay.
court that this time period counts as time served, and then they will allocate those credits.
All right. Have we lost Hayes? Is Michael? Michael, are you still around?
I'm still here. Hayes is on his phone, so his is doing the same thing I do, where when he leaves the room to like look at something else on his phone,
Yeah, that if the camera goes off, right?
he goes silent too.
Oh, okay.
But 48 months is a very long time. It is a very long sentence.
Yeah.
And Hayes is back.
Sorry, I got cut off too. What the hell's going on?
Maybe some jamming equipment, Blackwater using a stinger.
Okay.
Cover up the Marland, the injustice.
It was a fact. Hello? Suda, shut up.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
It was absolutely fascinating to be there. I'll be honest.
Marlon
was
while
able
we're
to
on
make-
the topic.
What?
Never mind.
You
Go
continue,
ahead.
Hayes.
Suda, don't
Marlon
fucking cut me
was-
off and say continue, Hayes. Continue, Hayes.
Marlon was able to turn because the initial timing was to go over the pre-sentence report and then to respond to objections, and anybody who's been following the case knows, if you've been reading the little rebriefs, is that Marlon wanted to establish that it was a central fact that the court had jurisdiction over this case. Was able to go off on his constitutional arguments for about an hour. On 2nd, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 14th Amendment. Cases cited the Helvey McDonald decision and the Heller case, as well as the case out of West. Judge Barker did say that he was sympathetic and found certain points to be persuasive, but again reiterates the position of the district court that the district court is bound by precedent and is an inferior can only really be addressed in full on appeal to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Like it's not there, declare certain laws to be unconstitutional if they're federal laws.
State courts can only determine state law legitimacy.
Testing.
Federal courts can determine. Yep, hear you, Victor.
Yep, there we are.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we're all back.
Final request for Marland was to have his
Yeah, I was just gonna ask.
PSR. What?
Hello, I was gonna ask how many months. You said time song was that in total?
For you, but the court didn't give an official number because that is the allocation for those is actually up to the Bureau of Prisons. Like they're the ones who actually give that allocation. It is only the court that particular period of time be considered time served. They don't have a number though.
So you said he's been in there since March. You said he's been since March 2021.
2022.
Jesus, that's loud.
Okay, so 8 months. Okay, got.
Give or take. I'd be the one that officially allocates that.
So Marland does still need money for his books. He still needs money for commissary, and for
Marland
communications.
still
You can
needs money
also,
for the appeal.
he
Yes.
still needs money for the appeal, and he still, if you go on my Twitter, I dropped a link to also include comms. So being able to speak to people outside of the prison and video call with them costs money. Otherwise, prison becomes a very isolating, very difficult experience, even more so than it already is and is intended to be.
I will make one more point about the case, which is that it was not the district attorney, but whoever was representing the government that violent past be brought into consideration for the final sentencing. The judge openly stated, I have it on record somewhere, that he did not believe that Marland was at all to commit violent crime in the future, in spite of having committed violent crime in the past. And so received a 4th total sentence over a 96 one. So given the fact that it was really unlikely that the outright victory in some capacity, it is actually quite, it did, I think, to some degree. Marland seemed to be,
which speaks horribly
at least slightly happy with the decision.
Of our system. How horribly of our system. You throw somebody in jail for 8 months before you even get around to trying them, and then you throw them in. Pretty sure they're not going to do anything to hurt anybody in real life, and that comes across as a victory. And I get what you're saying, comparison to the routinely draconian horror of the system as it exists.
That we all, I think we all had expectations for how this was going to go, and this actually, at least from my expectations, this actually went really well.
Yeah. No, I was anticipating worst case scenario.
Hello?
Yeah. Michael, go ahead.
I was anticipating worst case
Appeal to a
scenario.
higher federal court. Well, no one told me this, but actually still pro se. I did not know that.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, I was aware.
Yeah.
I mean, earlier we were talking about the routine
I thought
horror
Nisha had convinced him.
Justice, and even how when it functions at its best, it's still an unremitting horror. So I just wanted to make sure that when it's functioning at its less brutal, it's unconscionably, unjustifiably ill.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we were discussing earlier how Eastern States Penitentiary, in particular, got a reputation for being more mild because it kept you in complete isolation. And that was considered like the friendly version of prison. Was like, well, you're in complete isolation, but at least you have this yard where you get a little like garden.
Again, it's really hard to stream on my phone.
So yeah, the reason I'm
gonna go ahead and go. I just wanted to let you guys. So that's the official. That's what's come down. And I'm sure Marlins will have some in the very near future, probably sometime today even.
Yeah.
I've got to call Nisha.
All right.
Good.
Thank you for your sterling work, Hayden. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I don't know. This turned out relatively well. I don't want to like attack that idea. I'm just, my point is, I don't know. It's so, and even when the thing is functioning at its best, it is a horror show, and it's just like any system. It's very the small victories and lose track of the fact that you're still, if you can push, you're still fighting with a fucking lion.
In this particular case, best case scenario was 48 months.
Yeah.
And that was for a man who, by the state judge's own admission, was not likely to commit another violent crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a long ass time. I mentioned earlier, sitting in the courthouse in Nashville, watch years like Candy, the people who were about my age. As I would sit there and watch, and I'd be thinking to myself, when this guy gets out, and there are people, I'm pretty sure there are people who I watched, this would have been 2013, who are so it's like 48. It's like, we're talking about this case and probably going to go on about our lives, 48. And for what?
Have
To
we
this other
lost?
case,
Okay.
down in Louisiana, well, the guy didn't do it, and he was getting pushed. The prosecutor was pushing him to plea out, and he was like, "Yeah, I guess I'll plea out. I don't think I can get the case." He wasn't even like outraged about the fact that he's actually do. And that's just how this system, if you've been in it long enough, it does beat the hell out of you and completely.
Yeah, there's a book by Dr. Raymond Bonner, who's ironically a professor at Harvard in journalism ethics, but who is a great hero. Dr. Raymond Bonner exposed the El Mozote massacre in Honduras. Anatomy of Injustice was about the town in South Carolina that I initially moved to, Greenwood. And in the book, he discusses how this man who had, by the court's own description, the mental acuity of an 8-year-old, developed this highly involved plan to murder a white widow. Keep in mind, he did not know his clients' names. He was a handyman. He made good money doing it. He made about $400 to $500 a week in the 1980s, which, for a black man in Greenwood, South Carolina in the 1980s would have been very good money, right? During his case, they bring up the fact that his hammer was the murder weapon. What never gets mentioned is that the hammer was not used in the way that a handyman would have used it. The grip was all the way at the bottom because that's where there was no fucking blood. But they only took fingerprints from the top where a handyman would have used it and where there was blood. Well, if there's blood on the fucking handle, guess what wasn't being held while you were swinging the hammer? That part of the fucking hammer. That never comes up in the court case. At the time, she was going through a breakup with her boyfriend at the time. This dude was described as the kind of black man that Southern white widows like.
Who gave that description?
It was given by people like in the neighborhood that he worked in, which was primarily white widows.
Okay, so he was a good color. He's one of the good ones.
Yeah. And during his, the whole time they are sitting there and bringing up the fact that he had this one violent incident at a bar one time. Keep in mind, mental acuity of an 8-year-old. So we can likely assume this man was not, you know, first of all, probably not proficient to stand trial on his own. They give him a public defender who is, by his own admission, carrying a caseload of about triple of what he should have had at the time. The one local cop, or the one state trooper who shows up, argues with the local cops because his mother is one of the widows who this man works for. And he says, I really don't think he's got it in him. Like, I don't think he's that kind of a guy, you know? And the police chief responds by saying, we're going to make sure these charges stick to this N-word.
And just to get time span, like what time period is this? What year?
1983.
If you told me this was last week, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah.
The whole time, his trial is like functionally a sham, right? Nobody seems to care until Dr. Raymond Bonner found out about it. And so Dr. Bonner was a lawyer, gives up a successful career in law to become a journalist, thinking that is where he could do the most good. He went and wrote about Honduras. While he was in Honduras, he covered the El Mozote massacre, which involved the U.S.-backed Contras carrying out widespread acts of terror. And at times, simply like, so there are stories from it. There was one survivor in the entire town. He went to publish this story for the New York Times, and he lost his career as a journalist. Seemingly, simply because he was reporting on the crimes of the CIA-backed Contras. The call comes into his EIC that story will never go to press from the CIA before it was on his EIC's desk. Which is incredible. Like, it just shows how shot through the media industry is with intelligence, right?
And to highlight that shows how are important, because you can't even decide if it's the kind of society you want. Journalism is shot through with imperial power.
Yeah. And Dr. Bonner did incredible research. He used his talents as both a lawyer and a journalist to investigate the case and ultimately to get the exoneration of this innocent man, right? And Anatomy of Injustice details the steps that he had to go through. At first, they weren't willing to unseal the court records. They made it almost impossible for him to find any evidence. They made sure that exculpatory evidence was suppressed.
Did you read about and like learn about them, how similar they are? It's like, it's crazy. We have, the prosecutors, we keep not fixing it.
Yeah. Because it would be mildly inconvenient to some people. And really, it would be inconvenient for a class, right? Like, the ruling class benefits from being able to carry out this kind of work and do this kind of grievous sort of offense to humanity simply because like it is more convenient for them to keep that kind of a quote unquote rule of law than it is to have to actually administer justice, right?
Yeah, and like the like Marlon, and you look at somebody like Kevin Johnson. You look at somebody like this guy. People like Kevin Johnson and Marlon are aren't what you would typically consider political prisoners in many ways, even though he's not officially a political prisoner, because of course America doesn't have those. But the same system to lock up a mentally challenged person and a person who snapped is the same system that allows you to throw somebody who is actively trying to commit those other acts of brutality. So it makes it easier to keep movements like the Black Panther check. Like it's all the same. Like it's a even if you might say, oh, the system doesn't have much incentive to challenge man in South Carolina. Maybe not in that particular case, but ultimately allow so it can do what you want in cases where it's not political. And of course, you're getting for property crimes and for the kind of imminent ways of crimes that are of a class character but aren't formally political.
Well, and Marlon is in many ways a stereotypical political prisoner. He's a former head of the Black Panthers chapter, and he is friends with Fred Hampton Jr.
Yeah, that's my point. He is a stereotypical political prisoner, but of course, most of the people that are running through the system aren't. But ultimately, same thing. Like who was harassing the Black Panthers? Obviously, the FBI was involved, but ultimately, most of the work of harassing local police. And so the police are there to beat up an old lady for looking at them funny, and they're there to imperialist movement. Same thing. Republic of New Africa. Who's leading the way?
All right. Well, I've been streaming for 5 hours today. And I'm going to go take a shower because that sounds great. It's now 2 p.m. and I have not done that yet.
I bet to only be on here for about an hour, but we see how that went. All right, be easy.
Okay.